Kitkatscanread. It is the beginning of August, which means it's time for a wrap up. Hello guys, my name is Katie. Welcome to another video. Today I'm bringing you my July wrap up. So for the month of July I didn't do great with reading. I did kind of like start doing really well and then I kind of like flumped, honestly. So many things happened that did affect my reading and my mood just hasn't been the greatest with reading. Just a lot of stress, a lot of stuff has happened, which, you know, is understandable, to be honest. Yes, maybe I could have like pushed myself to do a bit of reading, but like why force myself? Like, you know, I should like read when I want to read, when I feel like I can read. So I did do a little bit of reading towards the end. So in terms of like completing books, I didn't do greatly. So I'm going to go with you the two books that I read during the month of July. So the first of which is My Daughter Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I buddy read this along with Chloe, and this was a really interesting book, definitely like hard hitting. I also listened to the audiobook of this as well, and I believe this was available on Scribd, which is why I listened to it. And I mostly listened to the audiobook whilst physically reading this, actually, because I thought that the audiobook did it pretty well. And also I was able to listen to it from my commute to work. And yeah, so it's hard to say like whether it's like an enjoyable read. It's more like that it's an interesting read, because this does touch on like the major trigger warning of like rape and like relationship of massive age gap between a school teacher and a student. So it's really touching, it's raw. There are like mental health issues involved in this as well. Yeah, it's really hard hitting and definitely sort of like tough to read. So if those sort of like trigger warnings for you are like really difficult, I mean, even for me, I did find myself kind of like cringing at so many parts of this, and I was really grossed out by like quite a lot of the time of this book. But I felt like it was done quite well and I really enjoyed it, actually. And yeah, I mean, I recommend people to read it if you do like want an interesting read, and you can go through those trigger warnings, but just go in with like a heavy heart and a strong mind, because like it is difficult at times to read. And yeah, I thought it was just done really well, and I'm glad that I read it, because a lot of people have been reading it and I feel like quite in a way privileged to have read it, because now I'm among like a vast like majority who have read it, and like I can kind of like agree and go along with like other people on this. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. So this is the story of Vanessa, and when she was 15 years old she had sex with her English teacher, and it wasn't consented. And so she's gone about her life, and she sort of had like a relationship with her teacher, and then there's like, I don't know, I think it's like 15 years later, she's sort of like seen stories of like similar issues with other students that had the same sort of like relations with the teacher. And so she sort of begins to think like, was it an actual romance between her and the teacher, or is the teacher actually kind of like, you know, maybe they are like a paedophile, or I don't know, just things like that. So she just sort of like has to question herself, like, was it a romance? Did they love each other, or has this teacher, you know, got some sort of like issues going on and all that. So it's about Vanessa coming to terms with herself and her everything, and can she get through her future and everything. So yeah, a lot of stuff happens. So it does flip between the present as well as the past of what happened. It is very clear what happened with Vanessa in the past, so that was done really well. And also the flipping between the present and the past was done pretty well, I thought myself. So yeah, I thought it was like executed quite well, and I quite enjoyed how this book ended. Yeah, overall it was a really good read. And it ends up on Corpile being like a sort of like low 5-star rating, so pretty much like a 4.5 out of 5 Kit Kats. So that is like what is coming up for this one. I do recommend it. It's really sort of like an interesting read, and like I say, I am glad that I've read this book. The next book that I read was a reread. This is Bully by Penelope Douglas. This is the first book that's in the Fall Away series. This is between two ex-best friends called Tate and Jared. They used to be best friends, they used to hang out with each other, and then one day it suddenly stopped. He stopped talking to her and started treating her like absolute crap, and like doesn't like talk to her anymore and bullies her at school, hence the bully. and so Tate ends up going away for a year to France in order to kind of like start like a new life and to sort of like get herself back on track, because the impact they had on her was just like quite horrible. And so she comes back a different person. She starts to be a lot stronger. She starts fighting back, especially whenever Jared is like horrible. And so suddenly Jared's like, oh my goodness, she's a different person. She's fighting back and all of that. So there's all this tension going on between them. And yeah, there is a lot of that. And it's just about like, can they become like their best friends again? Can they find that friendship again? Or like possibly maybe even something more. So it is a really, really good book. The tension's done really well. I absolutely love this first time round. And again, whilst rereading this, I first read this as an ebook, and now I've read this as a physical book. And it's safe to say that I really, really enjoyed this book. And yes, this is probably going to be a book that I will read again, because the tension's just done really well. And also Penelope Douglas is just fantastic with like her romance books, and she's just great at getting the emotions across, and she just does great storytelling. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this book. If you really sort of like Penelope Douglas, if you like your sort of like new adult books with some romance in with a definite lot of attention, if you like best friends to haters to lovers, then yeah, you'll like this too. But yeah, really, really good. Loved it so much. Was really, really addicted to reading this book. And of course I gave it 5 out of 5 Kit Kats. And onto some books that I started reading during the month of July. So the first of which is Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer Armentrout. This beast of a book I started along with my good friend Rosie, and I got to like chapter 8, near to chapter 9, and I just, stuff happened. I couldn't get into reading this with all the stuff going on, so I feel really bad that stuff happened, but my head, I just could not focus on that book, unfortunately. So that's as far as I got with that one. I will try and see if I can continue on with this in the month of August if possible. And the other book that I started was a manga graphic novel, and that is volume number 2 collector's edition of Fruits Basket. So I did start this, so I'm a good little way through this. I was reading this like the other day, and yeah, got quite into it again, and yeah, quite enjoying like reading these. These are just sort of like great sort of like light reads. So yes, I will read this during the month of August, no problem. They're just quick and easy reads, and yes, that means I can watch the anime to this as well, of the next episodes that are to this actual bind up. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. So yeah, I did read those and start those during the month of July, but I did not get them completed. So will August be better? I have no idea. Yes, I'm going to give myself a punishment. I've already got a punishment, which is basically a big huge book that's on my TBR. So yes, you've probably already seen that video, but yeah, I have no idea how it's going to go, but Will is just going to hold me accountable because he has read it himself. So for the fact that my partner has read the very book, like, it's, I mean, how am I gonna, I don't know. Yeah, he will literally be like, have you read it? Have you done your reading of it today? Have you done your reading of it today? Like, how far are you into it? Like, he's going to be checking up on me all the time. He says he absolutely loves the book, and yeah, I'm hoping that I do too, because it'd be something really, really nice if we can kind of like share that together. I just thought I'd share with you the books I read in July for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. All of my social links will be linked down below in the description if you'd like to follow me elsewhere: Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads, as well as my Amazon wishlist, and also my book club that I host. And also I do gaming videos as well. I've got a Twitch as well as a YouTube, and also Twitter that's dedicated to those gaming stuffs, so that will be linked down below in the description. But that's it from me, guys. Keep smiling, keep reading, be happy, and most importantly, please stay safe. My name is Katie, and I'll see all of you wonderful, awesome people in my next video. Bye.